Here we go. Welcome to this week's installment of the Focus TV. It's season 5, episode 17. Joined tonight, we got Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Wilson Turpay Jr., and got a lot to get through. We're going to talk some Wizards, go-go, a bunch of college basketball to catch y'all up on because look, it's the end of the regular season across every level of college basketball, it feels like. That's what happened this past weekend. Got a little DC United because it was a season opener. We got extended round of rapid fire that's kind of NFL heavy because the combine started this week. So, you got a disclaimer, bunch of NFL questions. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But Ray, what's going on with the Wizards and the Go?
All right. Right now, the Wizards are tied. Well, they actually just went up to on Detroit, 61-59. They're doing good offensively. They're shooting 58% from the field, but they over the last few games, this has been a trend. They've been shooting lights out, but they haven't been able to capitalize because they aren't playing any defense. So, we saw this in their last 2 games, actually. On Friday, they had a tough double overtime loss against the Spurs. Then on Saturday, they had a 92-86 loss to the Cavs. We saw this play out in both of those games, actually. They've been shooting the ball extremely well, especially from 3. But if you score but can't stop the other team from scoring, then it's pretty much all for naught. And especially in the Cavs game, they were they were scorching in the first half, but some defensive lapses and turnover issues allowed the Cavs to hang around. And then at the end of the game, they made their push and was able to to come out with the victory. The Cavs finished the game on a 17-2 run and won by 6 points. So, that just kind of tells you, what kind of game it was for the Wizards. Had they taken care of business a little bit early on, maybe they're not in that position. So yeah, man, it's been the same story with them throughout the season. It's good to see the threes starting to fall, but they got to pick it up in those other areas if they want to, make a push for this for one of these playing spots down the stretch. And also they've been putting opponents on the line way too frequently and not getting to the free throw line themselves. And when they get there, they're not making their free throws and having issues taking care of the ball. So yeah, man, they just got a lot going on. They just reacquired Thomas Satoransky. This is his first game with them. Me, Wilson, and Cardell talked about it a little bit the other night. It's a good pickup, man. He performed well when he was here last. It's another seasoned guy and gives them some length on the perimeter, which they sorely need, especially at the point guard spot. Because as much as we love Ish Smith and Neto, they're just too small, man. And opposing point guards see them with the size advantage and their eyes just light up. And it's not a slight to them because they fight and scrap defensively, but size matters. So yeah, it's good to see settle back here. For the Go-Go, man, they look like they're hitting their stride. They're on a 6-game winning streak right now. Dating back to February 11th. Last night they beat the Cleveland Charge. They took advantage of them while they were, they didn't have as much reinforcements as they normally do. Cleveland only had 7 available players, and the Go-Go just wore them down with their depth. They had 63 points off the bench. The Go-Go did last night. So yeah, they just sent them at them in waves, and eventually came down with the victory down the stretch. But I mean, they've been sticking to the script, man. They've been winning with defense and rebounding. On the negative side, their 3-point shooting continues to be inconsistent. Jordan Goodwin, he's the closest thing to an outside threat on the team, and even he's up and down. Like, he made 5 threes last night and a combined 1 in the previous 2 games. So that's pretty much how the entire team goes. They'll have a few games when they're when the 3-point shooting's in the toilet, and then out of nowhere they'll just start making everything. So if they find a way to to get more consistent with that, then that'll open up a whole nother layer for them. But they're pretty solid everywhere else, to be perfectly honest. Turnovers can get a little high sometimes, but that's expected because they're an extremely young team. So yeah, they're just trying to figure that out. And also with Cassius Winston kind of starting off the season injured, and he's really still trying to work his way fully back. So, the inexperience at point guard is rearing itself, to be perfectly honest. But that's what the G League is for, for guys to work through things and fine tune some of the issues. So yeah, man. But a 6-game winning streak, and they'll look to continue it tomorrow. So they're Go-Go in a good place right now.
Man, if they could teach their older brothers how to do some of those little things, like box out, rebound, and defend, you put their issues together, man, they'd be fine. You know, Go out here checking all the boxes the Wizards can, and the Wizards are shooting the leather off the ball from distances of late. So, uh, fun times. We'll take our first break. When we get back, going to talk some GW men's basketball to take a look at the CIAA, both the men's and the women's side. When we return, you're watching the Focus TV. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, get started with George Washington men's basketball. On Sunday, a cruel twist of fate saw George Mason return the favor with the game-ending 13-0 run to eke out a 69-62 victory at Eagle Bank Arena. Joe Bamisil's three-point play with 5:21 remaining pushed the Colonials' advantage to 62-56. However, GW would not score for the remainder of the game, missing its final 11 shots. Mason ultimately took the lead for good with 3:26 remaining on a three-point play from Josh Aduro. Trailing by 3, 65-62 with 2 minutes left. GW had a pair of good looks to tie, but both three-pointers from Bamisil and James Bishop wouldn't fall. After a stop, Bamisil had another game-tying three-point chance with 25 seconds left that clanged off the rim. Mason hit 4 free throws to account for the final margin. The Buff and Blue were held to just 33.3% from shooting from the floor and 25% in the second half. Bamisil led the Colonials with 18 points and 4 rebounds. Bishop added 16 points, half of which came from the free throw line. Braden Freeman reached double figures for the 4th straight game with 12 points and 2 assists. Aduro, who missed the first meeting between the teams, topped GMU with 27 points and 14 rebounds. Deshaun Schwartz had 19, including 4 triples and 8 rebounds. GW will now turn its attention to the final week of the season and the senior day matchup on Wednesday versus Duquesne. Tip is set for 7 p.m. with a pregame ceremony at approximately 6:45 p.m. Eastern, honoring Ricky Lindo Jr., Amir Harris, Brian Knapp, Miles Galley. I apologize in advance, sir, for possibly butchering your name. Theophanis Stimulus is the last senior that will be honored. On to the CIAA. We'll start with the women's. Lincoln, PA defeats Elizabeth City State 67-52 to win the 2022 CIAA Women's Basketball title. CIAA Player of the Year, Brianna Brown, erupted for 28 points, and Joy Morton sparked the late first half run to key top seeded Lincoln to its first ever CIAA Women's Tournament Championship with the 67-52 victory over second seeded Elizabeth City State at the Royal Farms Arena on Saturday. Lincoln, which was 22-7 overall, finished off ECSU with a 20-8 run in the final 7 minutes to pull away from a 47-44 lead. Brown was named the tournament MVP, scored 8 points during the spurt. The Vikings, who were 21-7 overall, tried to make a dent in their 10-point halftime deficit, but got as close as 3 points before the Lions' title-clinching run. Morton added 12 points for the Lions, who earned the CIAA's automatic bid to the NCAA Division II tournament. Jade Young had 11 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Chantel Cheeks totaled 9 points. Serena Pitts, the CIAA Defensive Player of the Year, stood out for Elizabeth City State with 15 points and 14 rebounds. She also added 2 blocks. Felicia Jackson added 10 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds for the Vikings. Brown, the tournament MVP, led the CIAA All-Tournament team, which included teammate Young, then Destiny Coleman of Clayton, Natalia Leaks of Virginia State, Pitts and Eteria Lester of Elizabeth City State, Amaya Tucker and O'Shea Hartley of Winston-Salem State, and Jamia Lane and Andresia Alexander of Livingstone. As for the CIAA men's, give me a second, let's move on to that right quick. Fayetteville State edges Virginia Union 65-62. 65-62 was clearly a popular score here. To win 2022 CIAA Men's Basketball Championship, top-seeded Fayetteville State made the most of its second straight CIAA Championship appearance. The Broncos relied on defense and free throws to gain their second conference title in school history and their first since 1973, outlasting second seed Virginia Union 65-62 at Royal Farms Arena on Saturday. With the victory, the Broncos, who were 21-8 overall, earned the conference's automatic bid to the NCAA Division II tournament. The Panthers finished 23-7 overall. Winners of 18 CIAA tournament crowns have a chance to earn an at-large bid to the national tournament. Jalen Seegers scored 15 points for the Broncos, who inched away from VUU with a late run in a close, intense battle. There were 9 ties and 9 lead changes with no margin larger than 5 points until the Broncos' game-deciding run. With the score tied at 45 apiece, the Broncos outscored the Panthers 11-3 to open a 56-48 lead with 3 minutes remaining. The Panthers didn't quit, going on a 6-0 run to close the gap 56-54 with 134 left. The Broncos knocked down 9 of 10 free throws to seal the victory, setting off a celebration on the floor. Darian Dixon added 14 points, and Cress Worthy added 13 for the Broncos, who shot 52.4% from the floor and 83% from the line. They went 15-18 from the charity stripe. Zion Cousins recorded 9 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Coran Clements finished with 8 points and 4 assists. Robert Osborne had a monster game for the Panthers, amassing 25 points and 16 rebounds. Tyreek Rayleigh added 15 points. Jordan Peebles contributed 12 points and 7 boards for VUU, which shot 33% from the floor and 58.8% from the free throw line. Both of those numbers in the title game are not going to get it done. VUU scored 24 points off 21 Broncos turnovers to stay in contention throughout the contest. The Panthers also held a 26-7 edge on the offensive glass, which led to 33 second chance points. The tournament MVP award went to Seegers, who led the all CIAA tournament team. In addition to Seegers, the all tournament team squad consisted of Dixon of Fayetteville State, Javante Cook of Winston-Salem State, Anthony Carpenter of Bowie State, Osborne and Jordan Peoples of Virginia Union, Kyrie Temple and Okoye Parker of Livingstone, Zarian Blue of Lincoln, and Jalen Richard of St. Augustine's. Both teams reached the title game after brilliant regular seasons. The Panthers won the Northern Division crown and earned the number 2 seed with a 13-3 conference mark. The Broncos also finished 13-3 to claim the CIAA's top seed. On to Maryland women's basketball. Man, Big Ten always got some type of drama going on in it. In this game, of course, it wouldn't be a Big Ten game without it being interesting. Buoyed by a raucous home crowd, Maryland held on for a 67-64 win over 10th-ranked Indiana in the regular season finale. Angel Reese led Maryland with 20 points and 16 rebounds. Diamond Miller added 16 points. Katie Benson had 10 points, including a clutch basket down the stretch. Indiana was led by Grace Burgers, 16 points and 10 rebounds. Allie Patberg added 13 points to leave 5 players in double figures for the Hoosiers. So real quick, I'm going to take you down the stretch of this one because it got real interesting. You had Maryland taking a 10-point lead. They could not hold on to said lead. Indiana was not about to let go of the rope. Allie Patberg, for the record, I don't know if she gets enough credit. She has a certified clip for the Hoosiers. I'm hitting contested threes, playing to the crowd after hitting them. And every one of the threes she hits that were contested, they needed. Like they were in a drought. And here's a three. Here's a lifeline. Let's bring us back to life real quick. But credit to her for that. Down the stretch, Mackenzie Holmes scored inside with 3:54 left in the game. Cheyenne Sellers tried to slide over and draw the charge, but was late in doing so. Holmes couldn't complete the 3-point play. Maryland turned the ball over with 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock, clinging to a 4-point lead. Initially, they thought, I think the officials ruled that the ball went off an Indiana player and it was Maryland's ball. They wanted to be sure, so they went to the tape to double check. The call stood. Then on the ensuing inbound pass, know you guys have heard me talk about Diamond Miller. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch her in person, she is a freak athlete, not just for the collegiate level, but just period overall. One of those top 1%ers where they just move differently than normal human beings do. All right, so there's 140 left on the clock. Your team just turned the ball over. It's not a good look. You're clinging to a 4-point lead. You are struggling. She made probably the biggest play of the game. She denied the intended receiver. It was literal teach tape on how to deny the ball. Then she got a hand on the ball while not looking, realized that she deflected the ball, turned into an all-pro wide receiver, and went to go snag that thing, collided with another Indiana player, drawing the foul. But again, usually when you deflect the ball without looking, a normal person takes a second to realize, hey, I hit the ball. Let me locate it. The time in which she was able to process it and then gauge where the ball was, it was ridiculous. Again, really big play. She was fouled by Chloe Moore McNeil. Maryland just almost turned the ball over. Things weren't going well on offense. They got the ball back. They didn't score off it, but it got the crowd back into it. Because the crowd was in a little bit of a lull. It's like, oh my goodness, they're losing the lead. What's about to happen? Nothing good is happening. 2 minutes went off the clock between that basket that Mackenzie Holmes scored at the 3:54 mark. 2:36 left. Cardano Hillary hit her only shot of the game. She was 1 for 10, and she hit a contested 3 with 35 seconds left. That cut the Indiana deficit to just 1. Maryland called a timeout with 34 seconds left. And Katie Benson, Katie doesn't get a lot of credit. She is known for having a laser sight from beyond the arc. Cardano Hillary was kind of just, obviously you treat dead-eye shooters how you're going to treat them. Give them no airspace at all. Make them put the ball on the floor. She badgered Benson most of the game. Katie after the game was like, look, paraphrasing, she was like, essentially, old girl been reaching all game. I was just reading what was behind her. She was going to reach again. I was going to go by her. I just want to make sure I had enough time to get this runner off. She got the runner off. Beautiful teardrop. Crowd go nuts, but they still got to play defense. They get to the other end. They take Chloe Bibby out for Mimi Collins. And this is what makes Maryland difficult to deal with. Defensively, most teams like to say they switch everything. Then there's the teams that are really about that life where they switch everything and they're comfortable with it. So it was the two big switching. It was Mimi Collins and Angel Reese switching in this action. Indiana gets the ball on the right wing. They make sure Grace Berger does not have the ball. They get the ball to Cardano Hillary. And I'm sure Cardano Hillary was like, all right, I'm going to get a screen to get Mimi Collins off me. I'm going to get some room to shoot. Now, Angel Reese was right there, got a piece of that. That was all that. Katie Benson came down with the ball. That was game. But most importantly for Maryland, the wins to carry the 4 seed in this week's Big Ten tournament, meaning they'll receive a double bye, which Lord knows they need it. They've played most of this season shorthanded. They just got Ty Kozlova back. I believe she had went home. I think she had just went home to Russia and came back. I believe they'll have Ashley Owusu back. She missed the Indiana game. They'll face either Indiana, Penn State, or Rutgers. If you want a more in-depth breakdown of the entire game, head over to thefocustv.com for the full recap. All right, 9-4-50 this week. Swim move for post players in footwork. Swim move for post players in footwork. That's followed by our second break. You're watching the Focus TV. I want to thank Jamal Hayward for knocking out the 9-4-50 breakdown. And again, welcome back to the Focus TV. FIBA World Cup Americas Qualifying. You guys, the USA had 2 games this week. We told you guys about it last week. Those games have now happened. So to update you guys on the results. Trailing 44-42 at halftime. The USA men outscored Puerto Rico 32-14 in the third quarter to take control of the game en route to a 93-76 win in the FIBA World Cup qualifying play in the Americas Zone on Thursday night at the ESA. 7-time NBA All-Star ISO Joe Johnson led the USA with 18 points. I swear, if basketball is being played, he is somewhere, man. Led the U.S. with 18 points. Matt Ryan of Grand Rapids Gold had 15 points with 5 of 8 shooting from deep. Justin Wright Foreman, currently playing for Birmingham Squadron, scored 13 points. And Juwan Morgan, the Maine Celtics, contributed 12 points. 61 of USA's 93 points came from his bench. And Jordan Bell, Fort Wayne Mad Ants, tied a U.S. men's World Cup qualifying single-game record with 3 block shots. U.S. defense stepped up in the second quarter and limited Puerto Rico to just 8 of 21 shooting from the field, 38%, while its offense was helped by 9 of 12 shooting from the free throw line in the second stanza. The USA opened the second half with threes from David Stockton of the Memphis Hustle and Wright Foreman to go ahead 48-44. The score was tied at 50, again at 52, before another three-pointer from Wright Foreman gave the USA a 55-52 lead, and the USA never again trailed. Against Mexico, the USA, they didn't trail in this one at all, wire to wire. 89-67 win over the previously undefeated Mexican team on Sunday afternoon at the ESA. The victory wrapped up USA's playing the second window of FIBA World Cup qualifying action in the Americas Zone. Sunday's performance was a convincing outcome that followed a 97-88 U.S. loss. The last time the two teams met in the first window in November 30th, that game was played in Mexico. While Mexico found success inside, matching the USA's 43 rebounds and getting 32 points in the paint, 14 of which, 14 second chance points. The USA was helped by 15 made three-pointers. They put up 43 threes. They hit 15 of them. It was good enough for it's pretty much 35% in the win. But 43 threes is a lot. Man. Langston Galloway, College Park Skyhawks, led the USA with 16 points. David Stockton had 15. ISO Joe added 14. Matt Ryan had 12. And Justin Ray Foreman rounded out the double-digit scores with 10 points. Jared Harper, the Birmingham Squadron, and Jordan Bell Jared Harper had 6 assists. Jordan Bell had 7 rebounds. Both teams started the game cold. The USA was 4-13 from the field in the first 7 minutes, and they led 11-7 at the 256 mark. From there, however, the USA heated up, outscoring Mexico 13-7 to take a 24-14 lead at the first quarter break. The USA finished the period shooting 42% with 8 assists, while the USA defense limited Mexico to 29.4% from the field in the first stands. It's pretty good defense. USA gave up 7 points to Mexico in the second quarter. ISO Joe outscored them by himself, scoring 8 in the second quarter. The U.S. as a whole had 24, and the USA lead ballooned to 48-21 at the half. By the midway point, the USA committed just 2 turnovers. Mexico had a 10-0 run early in the third quarter to help them trim the margin by 4 points in the period, but the USA was still comfortably in the lead 68-45 heading into the fourth. The U.S. will play its third and final window of the FIBA World Cup qualifying on July 1st against Puerto Rico and July 4th versus Cuba. The 2021 to 2023 FIBA World Cup qualifying tournament for the Americas zone features 4 preliminary round groups. Each group consists of 4 teams. The top 3 teams from each group will qualify for the second round. Following the second round, the 3 top teams from each group and the top 4th place team will qualify for the FIBA Basketball World Cup in 2023. There was a lot of basketball being played in and outside the area this past week. I told you guys last week we were heading into DC United's season opener. The Black and Red opened their season with a 3-0 victory Saturday night over visiting Charlotte FC. It was the inaugural match for the new franchise. They had a good showing from the supporters in the stands. I think the game started at 6. I got up there around 4:30, and the Charlotte fans, I think it was maybe a couple reporters were talking about they traveled about 300 deep up to DC to be there to support their new team. And I give them credit. They were loud from an hour before the game started all the way through, even though they didn't have too much to cheer about. I like the enthusiasm, and I mess with the support. I got to respect them for it. Former DC United players Joseph Mora and Yordi Reyna made their return to Audi Field as well. Michael Estrada scored 2 goals in his debut for the Black and Red, while Ola Kamara added the 3rd score of the night off the bench. Bill Hamid does what Bill Hamid does. He kept a clean sheet, answering the bell when his number was called with 5 saves, including a couple big ones late in the match. Obviously, those saves late in the match were the difference between it being 3-1 or 3-2. Still, man, goalkeepers and the back line take pride in that number staying at 0. Makes everyone walk off the pitch with their chest just held a little bit higher. All right, Michael Estrada, he seemed to be trying to figure out what he can and can't do in his league. From selling calls early to being overly physical at times, he showed his skill and what he still needs to prove on fitness-wise to play in this scheme. Told you guys last year, Hernan Losada does not play. They press. He talked about the team, how they weren't in the type of shape he would have liked them to be in last year. This year, going into training camp too, everyone got the memo. They came in ready to go. I liken it to Ray. Everyone talks about there's being in NBA shape and there's being in Miami Heat NBA shape. Yeah, Losada's off that Heat NBA shape. Like I hear you. Yeah, you say you're fit, which are you fit to do what I need you to do for 90 minutes? So they were able to press for 94 minutes. Credit to them as a first week. You got to see if it lasts throughout the season, but it looks like they're in much better shape physically, and that's going to be big for this team, period. All in all, back to Estrada, was a solid debut. It'll be interesting to see how he grows in his role and comfort with his teammates. One thing that jumps out immediately, he's a bigger guy that's very skillful with his feet. He's going to create trouble. It's going to be fun watching that push-pull. And if he can get in shape, in Losada's shape, as soon as possible. because the way that they press up top, and in soccer, just pressing high, it's like you're trying to force the defense to do something bad, right? And then so your first line of defense is your offense, and he's the point of the attack playing forward, which sucks. It's a blessing and a curse. When you're up there by yourself, it's if you get the ball, you take it off somebody. It means it's just you and the keeper, man. You get to get busy, score goals, tell your agent, raise the price went up, all that good stuff. When you don't do your job, everybody's looking at you like, hey, big fella, what's going on, man? And it's tough because Kamara scored, I think, 14 or 15 goals last year, and he had to come off the bench in this one. But Estrada, again, it was a good debut. Andy Nahar, there's so much attention to what he can do with the ball at his feet, even though he plays defense. I was impressed by his defense in this one. He was matched up with Yordi Reyna, another very creative guy with the ball at his feet, and they just went after it. Former teammates, they wasted no time. They got straight to it. Hey, how you doing? No, you can't beat me, and I'm going to try to embarrass you. And they had a fun the entire night. Yordi got him one time, and then he almost beat Billy Mead, but then he hit the goalpost. The ball bounced off the goalpost, back into Mead's hands, and it had to stink, but, it is what it is. The middle of the park, there was going to be a transition in this area simply because the pairing of Russell Canals and Junior Moreno is no longer an option for DC United. It's penciled in to be Canals and Moses Nyman. However, on Saturday, it was Skundrich and Nyman. They got the job done, but Canals' absence was missed. He's kind of the adult in the room in the center of the park. The other two dudes are a little younger. So we got to see a little bit from another youngster and Sofiane Default as well. He came in the 64th minute. He looks solid, but I'm looking forward to seeing how Canals and Nyman, that pairing in the middle of the field, works. You want more on that recap? Head over to thefocustv.com. Black and Red are on the road this weekend to face FC Cincinnati and another former teammate, the ever so talented and brilliant Luciano Acosta. All right, we got rapid fire. So I'm going to take a quick deep breath while this graphic hits the screen. Let's get to it. What we got in rapid fire for you guys? All right. Told you guys it's heavy NFL-wise. I'm going to tell you this should be fun. Or maybe not. NFL Combine has begun. So it's both lying season and let's make a deal at the same time. Today in Indianapolis, new GM, Giants general manager, Joe Schoen, on whether the Giants would be open to moving Saquon Barkley. Quote, we're still working through that, but I'm open to everything. Like whether it's trading player for player, I'll listen to anybody. If it's trading a couple players, I'm not going to say the entire roster. But we're open for business on the entire roster. But if anyone is going to call and they're interested in any of our players, I'm certainly going to listen. Again, we're in a situation where, unfortunately, we have to get under the salary cap. We're not in very good salary cap health. Again, I'm not going to say yes to every deal, but I'm definitely going to listen. Be open to the situations that are best for the New York Giants. End quote. Octavia, is this man about to move Saquon Barkley amongst other pieces?
I'll take him. Just send them on down the road if that's what you plan on doing. But I mean, in all seriousness, I get it. It's been a tough couple of years for Saquon with getting hurt, and then it don't make it no better that the offensive line is terrible. So even if he wasn't hurt, who knows how well he would have been able to run? Even though his first season, he probably did better than anybody could even expect him to do because, again, the offensive line was trash. But yeah. I mean, I don't know what they think they're doing, but I mean, that's probably the only piece that they have they could really move if they're looking to get anybody else in free agency, because nobody wants Daniel Jones, nobody wants their wide receivers. That's probably the only thing they really have as far as some type of capital to get anything out of it. So I'm not surprised that he would be willing to listen to it. I will be surprised if he actually pulls the trigger on it. You would think they would have learned their lesson from letting Odell go. Because I mean, like, you only get generational type of talent every now and then, and it just seems like they can't hone in on it and keep it in house. And it's sad for them. It's great for me because they're my division, so it doesn't bother me that much. But I'd be surprised if they actually really let him go. I'd be still curious to know how healthy he is because, like I said, I feel like they really should have shut him down earlier in the year. That's just my opinion. As long as he's still in good health and, he's not having those knee injuries, which was probably because he was carrying the team. So, you know, he can only carry but so much. His knee gonna hurt. But I'd be surprised if they actually dealt him, and I would be interested to see what they get back for him. Who would want to go to New York?
All right, Ray, do you think my man's bluffing, or he's just, this is the disclaimer, aka I'm having a fire sale.
You get one. You get one.
Yeah, I think it's some code language going on here. Like, I mean, I think he's like, I'm not coming out the gate saying, here, take them, but if you want them, you know,
Kind of pony up for it.
let's make a deal. right, yeah. Because I think I mean, his health is in question, to be perfectly honest. But I think he's banking on either he's going to get another team that's willing to gamble and give up a lot for him, or if not, and they end up keeping him, you know, he's willing to take that gamble. So that's why it's just not like, oh, we got to get rid of this guy type thing, you know, which shouldn't be the case, because you know when healthy, Saquon's amazing, but you know he just hasn't had the opportunity to be at full strength for the last couple of years. But yeah, I think he's baited the hook, you know, and if somebody bites, then perfect, and if they don't, then cool. We still potentially have one of the best running backs in football on our team. So, you know, I don't think he's eager to get rid of him, but I think if the right deal comes across his desk, then you know he'll be tempted to you know, to pull the trigger.
Like I'm in a minority here. I believe this man wholeheartedly. One, he has no ties to anything.
That's
the
true.
new regime's coming in to clean up a mess. They don't care about nobody here.
That's
Nobody
true.
means nothing.
That's 100%.
The most important people that are going to matter are the picks they make this year in this draft. Those are the first two people in that building that mean anything to anybody. You know, from, you know, as a part of the new regime. The other thing is, like, if he wasn't if they had multiple assets, I'm with you guys. And yeah, man, whatever happens, happens. If the deal's sweet enough, sure. But like, I'm looking around the Giants roster, and
that's what I said. They don't got nobody else to give nobody.
and like in this economy, if you could flip a running back for a pick, look, if it was me, look, it's none of my business. But again, like I'm starting from ground zero, right? Like nothing's here. Hey man, go live go prosper, man. You don't deserve this. Go. You don't have to sit through this.
I'm sure somebody will take Daniel Jones off their hands too, but I guess they like him.
And look, and that's the part I almost had two questions from this. A little bit later in the article I was reading. Oh Lord.
Because they saving him. They saving him. I don't know why. Yeah.
Apparently they're fine with that part of this equation.
Well, yeah, because apparently they said, like, we've done everything to mess this up. We haven't put him in a great position. Of course, we know your offensive line is trash. So that obviously is not putting him in a great position. But how much can you save him, bro? It's been, what, 4 years? 3-4 years at this point? It's a no for me. And that would be something else that I would think of too. Like, if y'all doing a fire sale, like, y'all probably should include him in on it too and start at ground zero and find you a new quarterback. But I think it's going to be hard for them too. I think it'll be hard for them either way, because it's just like, I don't think New York's a great destination for anybody to really want to go play. Like who are they going to get in free agency? You know, outside of course trading. Like if somebody gets forced to go there, of course they don't have a choice. But like, I can't see somebody voluntarily saying, "Yeah, I would go play for the New York Jets."
Look, man. On to another popular sport. No deal. There will be no sound of play ball, as opening day has been canceled in Major League Baseball. The first two series of the season are canceled. This is going from 162 games to 156. I'm sorry I had to include that part. There have been many work stoppages and labor disputes over the years. This one might be a little different though. At the onset of negotiations, owners expressed a willingness to reallocate the money that goes to players, but not to increase it. In other words, the pie could change. We could change how we divvy it up, but it can't grow any larger. The league waited 3 months to counter the union's first core economics proposal, Then 6 weeks to circle back after imposing the lockout in December, clear signs to the union that the owners were motivated to drag this out in hopes of making the players cave. The real negotiations didn't take place until the final week of February. By that point, the union had given up on its demands for earlier free agency and revenue sharing cuts and made significant concessions on the percentage of additional players who would become eligible for arbitration early, aka free agency. Owners, in turn, made more generous proposals around minimum salaries, the luxury tax threshold, and the additional player pool. But the gap remains too wide. Owners don't want to spend significantly more. Players believe, given the additional cash that would be provided by an expanded postseason, they're trying to make the playoffs 14 teams deep now. That's what they want to do in baseball. Not to mention the upcoming influx of gambling that they should. This is coming from a piece written by Alden Gonzalez of ESPN. After hearing all of that, which side, if any, do you guys see caving? And do you see a resolution in the near future, right?
I mean, really in any sport except basketball, I always see the players coming out on getting the short end of the stick. That's just the way it is. The NBA is much more player driven than any of the other major sports. And I just feel like the owners are always going to have the upper hand. I mean, once the majority of the players start to feel it in their pockets, then that's all she wrote, man. They're going to be much more willing to concede. So, yeah, I think that the players will cave before the owners. I'm unsure of why they're trying to add more baseball to the schedule. Like the season's already long enough. Yeah, that's just a wild thing to me. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. Obviously the MLB didn't take the the players serious enough because they didn't even bother to respond in a timely fashion. So, this is why we are where we are right now. But yeah, man, this is going to be interesting. Like, and like when was the last baseball lockout? Like,
I just looked at it. It said it was like it took the games from 160 to like 60 games. It was like a real shortened season.
Got to be at least one within the last 20 years. Like, I swear they have one stoppage every 12, 15 years, it feels like.
But see, what confuses me is like, I mean, not confuses me, but I'm like, y'all already getting paid more than everybody. Goodness gracious. But I get it.
But yeah, only the top end does.
Yeah, right, that's true.
Like they got the ugliest drop after the top end than other sports have. Like there's some players that are losing like $300K a day. There's other players.
Just give me $300K right now. Leave me alone.
Just
give me 300 right now, and I'll be fine. Just leave me alone, bro.
And even those massive contracts are like 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I don't know. I see the owners getting what they want, plain and simple, man. Like I just don't think the players have enough leverage in this situation.
Octavia?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it comes down to it. Like, it's going to come down to their pockets. Like the owners, like they got the real money. And eventually, like you said, like it's going to start hurting people's pockets and they're going to eventually cave. I'm surprised that it's lasted this long and they've held their ground as long as they have. For them to, officially cut games and push back the season openers. Adding more baseball, I don't know why. And I think this is going to make it even worse outside of die-hard baseball fans, like I see baseball as like a I'll watch it if there's nothing else on type thing. And I think they're going to start alienating more of their fan base with doing this. So it's like, you're not making it any easier for us to watch you, or I have to deal with this even longer when now y'all having game stoppages. They ain't even had spring training yet. And I think they were supposed to start the season at the end of this month. So it's like now that's gonna push everything back. They already had a shortened season because of the pandemic recently. So it's like it's not good from a marketing standpoint for both sides. Let's keep it honest. But something's got to be done eventually. I'll be surprised if the owners cave. Like something drastic has to happen, and somebody's really has to take a stand. But like Ray said, like no other league really does that like the NBA does. Like their players are really at the forefront and like really push for stuff that they want for the most part. I can't wait till they do their CBA as well. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, I'm just surprised it's lasted as long as it did. You know, it's partially, of course, the owner's fault because, like you said, like we gave you this information months ago. I guess you just didn't take us seriously, and I just showed you that they don't take you seriously. So just like we're sitting there saying like the players are going to cave first, the owners are probably saying the same thing. So they're probably just like, we'll just wait it out. They'll get bored eventually. You know, they gotta play baseball. They gotta do something. They'll get bored. And yeah, but then again, it sucks for the people at the bottom of the totem pole that really need to play to survive, you know. So it'll just be interesting.
Yes, I think one of the worst things is like just we know like we all cover sports. We understand like that dynamic between ownership and downstairs with the players or what have you. Baseball just goes hard, man. The commissioner, they were picks to the commissioner. If you Googled like the lockout today, my man was smiling and cheesing. He just canceled opening day. He was like, "This doesn't affect me at all. They don't want to play 6 games. I guess that's 6 games. They don't want to." What? Excuse me. Seriously, that's where you at with it. All right. But like you guys said, the only reason I feel like it might be different if the players hold strong, and this era with social media and everything else, you have to have to deal with that. The last couple times you were acting out, the labor shortages, like don't let this go too long. And the post-pandemic fans, they a different breed. It's a whole different breed of zombie. Fans before the pandemic were already on one. Post-pandemic fans, and look, I keep messing around. You're gonna find out baseball. They're gonna tell you every day why they don't like you. Like just leave them folks alone. Post-pandemic sports fans is different. All right, the Colts. It was hard for me to choose, but I got to go back to the Colts because this is just funny. Everyone remembers last season when they went and spent some capital to acquire then former. They acquired and then paid former Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz. Carson threw for 3,563 yards this season with 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. But the Colts missed the playoffs largely because of his poor play against Jacksonville late in the season. I'll say that again. His poor play against Jacksonville late in the season. The team with the number 1 overall pick, again, I think, may have kept you from the playoffs.
They did.
The team with the number 1 overall pick. The Colts missed the playoffs despite Wentz numbers. This was said at the combine today by general manager Chris Ballard, which Chris Ballard is another one of these dudes where a lot of GMs, a lot of front office people just be talking. I take this man at his word because he don't play. Like they'll make a mistake and it'd be like, all right, cool, on to the next. Yeah, I know it caused something, but I was wrong. Got to fix it. Quote, I don't have a direct answer for you. Jim Irsay, Frank Reich, and I will sit down over the next 10 days and figure out where it's going ultimately. We'll do what's best for the team in the short term and the long term, end quote. So is Carson going to be the Colts quarterback next season or they moving in a different direction? He only making $15 million next year. Like that, the way they put that contract, like, yeah, it was a bunch of money, but they can eat that 15 and be okay. Like, and make sure they had it out. And if they do move on, what does it mean for a former, top 5 pick Carson freaking Wentz? He's out here in the cold, Octavia.
Life comes at you fast. 1 second you on track to be MVP of the league and win a Super Bowl, and next thing you know, you're gonna be trying to find you a backup position somewhere in the league to stay in there and take care of your wife and your 2 kids you just had. Because I don't know what you're gonna do. Everything that I've been reading has been. I'll be honest. Before the report started coming out, I thought that they would give him another chance. just because Frank Wright is so Carson Wentz pro. He's pro Carson Wentz. That's his guy. I drafted him. I love him. He's going to be great. We can reinvent him here. It'll all work out. And by all standards, it did for the most part for them during the season. I mean, he had 7 interceptions. Like I would have loved to have a season when he played and he only threw the interception 7 times. I mean, I feel like I saw 7 in one game at one point. So I thought he did well enough for them to keep him, but I really think the Jacksonville game, like, it really sunk him. Like, you can't lose to Jacksonville in that situation to go to the playoffs when they've overcame so much throughout the season already. I think they were on like a 4 or 5 game winning streak to get back into the league contention. Like, they were leading their division. Like, and it makes it so that's something like the story behind it makes it much worse than what his actual play was. Up until that game, of course. Yes, he still had, mishaps throughout the season, like all quarterbacks do. But I think that was like the nail in the coffin at the end of the day. It was like we have Jonathan Taylor, who's playing out of his mind. Like, our defense is doing amazing. Like, this is our time. Like, if we're looking at these teams, like, of course, everybody talks about the Rams going all in and everything. Like, I think the Colts are about to get on that path. And I honestly, at the same time, I don't think that they would be. I think it would be very easy for them to cut him and let him go, because like the more and more I see the reports, the more and more I believe it. The more and more I see, like, GM said we're evaluating. Frank Wright said we're not sure. Like, all of that is like, yeah, I already know it's a wrap for you, man. And at that point, like, I really don't know where he'll end up. Like, I mean, I feel like there are places that would take him because what they have at the moment is not the greatest. But then at the same time, like, I don't know, because I would have to really sit down and look at their roster and what they can even afford to do at that point. And I mean, he's not the most non-injured person. We know he has injury issues as well. And it's his decision making. And that's the issue with him. It's not that he's a bad quarterback. He makes bad decisions at the worst possible time. And it's hard to coach that. And it's hard to change that. That's something that he has to fix within himself. And it makes you think, like, if the guy that believed in you more than anybody, the guy that drafted you, the guy that wanted you at the helm of his team, he couldn't fix you, what am I supposed to do if you come to my team? How I'm going to fix you? If this man that knew, like, I mean, if it wasn't Frank Wright or Dan Orlovsky, like, I don't know who else believes in Carson more than anybody else. So if they can't do it, what are we going to do? And again, the Colts aren't new to this. I mean, they've had a new starting quarterback like basically every year for like the past 5 years. Ever since Andrew Luck retired, it's been a merry-go-round. So it was Phillip Rivers for a year. It was Teddy for a year. Not Teddy. What's the other
Jacoby.
Yes, Jacoby Brissett for another year. And they probably like, well, I guess we'll get another one this year. I mean, they probably done called Phillip to see if he wants to stop coaching high school football and just come back one more time. Let's give it another go. Our team is better now. So I won't be surprised. I will not be surprised if he gets let go. I would be interested to see where he ends up. I mean, maybe no, never mind. That ain't gonna work. Just like, yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe right, just be a coach now.
I got answers for both of them too. But go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, he's as good as gone, man. You can't lose to the worst team in football with your season on the line. Plain and simple. Like, especially you on a short leash anyway, and this was kind of like a last hope for you, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna be willing to give him another opportunity. As far as where he ends up if he's released, man, you guys' guess is as good as mine. Maybe somebody's quarterback gets hurt and they just pick him up out of desperation at some point.
I'm trying to think.
Who knows, man? Because I mean, like at that point, he's a seasoned guy who's not terrible and could probably just help you tread water, but like nobody's gonna bring him in to start. Especially after this last stop. Yeah, you can't do that. Like
the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You can't do that in the position that you're in.
Like everybody that bet on that game had to be pissed. Like I didn't even think about that. Like I was like, oh, it's the Colts and the Jags. Like, come on, man. And then I was like, wait, what is happening? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's out of there. Soon as Chris Ballard and them get to talking like that, we just figured out if someone would we could find a sucker to trade for him, or if we couldn't. And then we just got to figure out the money around the new guy we're bringing in. And do we want to try to go all the way out? Do we want to lose something big to go get a top tier guy, or do we go get somebody who does something similar? So here's what this is a scenario I have happened. I say the Colts call the Niners back up. They send a fourth this year and a conditional pick the following year, depending on incentives for Jimmy's health. That can go up to a third or a second, whatever, right? You get somebody to essentially do the same job that Carson was supposed to do. And Jimmy, for all his failings, at least Buckner can tell the defense, I'm used to it. I went to the Super Bowl with that dude. Yeah, there's going to be some dumb things that happen, but for the most part, he's going to hand the ball off. He's going to hit the open dude. We're going to be okay. And we make some mistake. It'll be early. We just got to handle our business. Buckner has experience dealing with this. The other thing with Carson, he might have to take a Trubisky year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, find you somewhere to back somebody.
And I'm trying to even think where.
I got the answer for that too. He's not going to like it.
No, as long as it ain't Philly, I don't care.
No, it's not Philly.
Oh, okay.
You need to come sit his butt down and watch Trey. Watch a dude who was better at your school than you were, and just sit there and be quiet. Half the league runs Kyle stuff anyways. So get a crash course, a jump start, and a variation of the popular system in the league, and then you can go to multiple teams, which in the McVay Shanahan coaching tree. Just go take like a grad year. A grad year just to go study.
It's a gap year. It's a gap year.
It's a gap year.
Taking a gap year.
And if you gotta play, Kyle's so used to quarterbacks that do dumb stuff, he just won't let you do it. Like you're gonna throw a pick and just never throw again. It's fine. You'll have Debo with somebody else coming to throw. It's fine.
But that's what it needs to be too. Like I feel like that was part of the issue is that Frank Reich believed in him so much and that he didn't really think that he could he didn't really think it could get that bad. So that's what I mean. Like, because even the fact that earlier in the season, well, not early in the season, but towards the end of the season before this game happened, when Frank Reich was saying Carson is going to have to, be the guy sometimes in a game. Like he's going to have to be the one. And I feel like he said it like he really believed it. And like he really meant it, and he really thought that it could happen. And then when it needed to happen, it didn't happen. So I think I think it's one of those things where your parents tell you I still love you, but I'm disappointed in you, and it makes you feel that much worse. I feel like Frank Reich is disappointed in Carson Wentz, and he's like, I just don't even want to see you no more, man. I can't. I tried so hard. We were rooting for you. And
I mean, imagine if you Frank right now, right? You stepped out there and said, go get my guy. You can't even offer nothing to the front office.
Exactly. But thank you, guys. We appreciate the picks.
You burnt your one try on that dude. Because I know if I'm Chris Ballard, anytime you call me about anything, I'm going to text you tomorrow. I'm going to see you tomorrow, dude. Don't you come over there telling me about some guy you used to coach and you believe in.
Man, and they was on the first season of Hard Knocks during the season and mess around. Just bad publicity all around.
In the type of interceptions he threw, it was only 7. His 7 felt like 20. Ray, I'm so serious. The type of interceptions he threw, not.
But as an Eagles fan, I'm telling you, that was every interception, you'd be sitting there like, what, where are you looking? Like, who's over there? Like, what is happening? It's like, I don't know if he has a mental block where he just checks out and he's like, oh, they coming.
You know what? I think it's what you said. Like he's it's so funny because like he's the opposite of Jimmy. Jimmy's a dude who plays like a dude who has a physical skill set Carson has, and Carson plays. Yes. And Carson needs to be the opposite. Coached, yeah. Or Carson needs the box that Jimmy is forced to play. He needs the seatbelt that Scott Shanahan that Jimmy had.
He needs to be restricted to only do this. No, that's it.
Only do this. If it's not there, bro, I swear for the Lord, you throw another pick, you're handing the ball off for the next 4 quarters.
That's what I didn't understand. I'm like, you have freaking Jonathan Taylor. Like, why is Carson Wentz throwing the ball? like,
and that's the thing for me. I wouldn't even give
Frank's rightful.
Hey, look, yeah, because I don't.
He believes that much in him.
Like, I'm not about to let you go to the line and choose anything, sir. No.
You can't audible out of nothing. You better run the play. I send it to the helmet.
Matter of fact, the only audible you allowed ask Jonathan Taylor what run play he wants to run. That's your audible.
Your only audible is timeout. That's it. That's the only thing you can yell out outside of what I tell you to say.
There's timeout. Throw the ball away and hand it to Jonathan. That's it.
Or take a knee.
I don't even want you to do that because he might mess that up too. He might hurt himself in the process. Want to thank y'all for spending time with us this week. As always, we enjoy it. We appreciate you all. Get over to thefocustv.com as always. Wednesdays on our Roku channel. If you got a Roku television device, all you got to do is hit the search bar, type in the Focus TV to find our channel. DC TV Friday nights at 10 p.m. Also, if you're outside the city, dctv.org, you can watch the shows there and you can find out when the show airs throughout the course of the weekend. Y'all have a great week, and we'll see you next week with lots more to discuss.